Hi guys, my name is 𝗙𝗟𝗠 and I'm the creator of the short film The Amazing Peter into the Gwen-Verse.
Gwen? Peter?
So let's not waste any more time and start from the beginning. After the Green Lantern project
I'll keep in touch.
that you can find here, I thought that this fascinating topic of artificial intelligence could be excellent for my specialist thesis, linked to the great enthusiasm of the No Way Home release with Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire.
I love you guys.
So I contacted my professor and proposed the idea. With great enthusiasm he gave me his okay, so I started writing the story, and shortly thereafter I was very lucky to meet the collaboration of Lorenzo Di Sante, a big fan of Spider-Man, a costume designer and exceptionalist cosplayer who, as you can see, look like very much to Andrew Garfield, and who therefore married the project both as an actor and as a costume designer for spider-gwen. And speaking of pre-production, one of the biggest challenges was research of the location. This is because I needed to show New York, but found myself in Sicily, which from an urban point of view is not quite the same thing. And after some research, both by car and with the help of Google Maps, I came across the parking lot of the AMT of Catania, which had that air of Jersey City style peripheral port. So when I went to the place, I immediately fell in love, and I didn't waste time making the request for the location and fortunately getting the okay. At the same time as this logistical aspect, I needed to understand if Lorenzo, beside his similarity with Garfield, worked well with the deepfake. And it was so that remotely, this is because I'm in Catania while Lorenzo is in Pescara, we organized a test shoot that I used to experience my first deepfake, supported and supervised by 𝗙𝗟𝗟𝗟𝗏. And what you are seeing is the result of this first shot with, I must say, arousing a certain enthusiasm in us. We are between January and February, and from that moment Lorenzo starts training in the gym to better dress up the Spider-Man suits until the week of shooting. And in the meantime I decided to invest in a GTX 3090 video card to make the leap in quality for a better deepfake resolution. After the script, I created a storyboard thanks to a free software called Storyboarder, which I recommended and which allowed me to easily set my shoot and set the geometry of my sequence. And to all aspiring filmmakers, I remind you that the storyboard is an essential tool. Especially in independent productions where you can miss something, it helps you a lot.
Me la guardi con lo storyboard. Storyboard!
In the meantime, Lorenzo begins to make the first draft of Gwen's costume, and together we choose the fabrics and the material necessary for the manufacture. For the lizard costume, I instead tried to limit the budget by buying a doctor's coat, trousers and a t-shirt, which I then personally damaged and soiled. During this month of gestation I started creating the dataset of Andrew and Emma, and the software involved were Adobe Premiere Pro for the selection and cutting of all the shots with the faces, Machine Video Editor for the creation of the masks, ENG, and finally Deepfake Lab for all the final training and merging process. But let's go in order. The first step is quite intuitive. You have to look for as many faces with a good resolution and with as many angle and light conditions as possible, so that you can create a deepfake model free to move in any orientation without missing corners and type of light. To do this, many hours of films and interview have to be unwrapped, in which the person appear more or less in the same condition, for example, shaved and with a constant age. Although it seems a simple thing, it is a work of meticulous attention and research, of which the result will depend. And the difficult thing at the time was in fact to find video materials of Garfield beyond his part in No Way Home that were not enough at all, so I had to mix different age. After creating my source file, I switched to Deepfake Lab to extract the faces from the various frames, thus generating images containing only the wall face called aligned and images containing the landmark, a sort of metadata that are nothing more than facial coordinates for the perspective alignment of faces. Having obtained this aligned, I was able to pass to the generation of XSeg mask through MV, and using the segmentation tool I quickly created a good number of masks for each substantially different expression. All similar ones will then be compensated by the XSeg mask train, that is the next phase to the process followed by the application of the trained XSegs. The middle train went on for 15 days per character for a total month of PC at work, and I can assure you that the electricity bill with a 3090 pushing to the maximum are very soft. By the way, I didn't tell you who is Georgia. Well, it is our talented and beautiful Gwen, who immediately fell in love with the project as soon as I told her about it and accepted the part without hesitation. First, I had to book Lorenzo's flight from Pescara to Catania and organize his overnight stay. Then I rented a van for the transport of the equipment that was impossible to transport by car. And I also booked a B&B adjacent to the parking location to allow cast and crew to use the service and to change, and finally I booked the provisions for the 2 shooting days. And as you will understand, it was a very precarious balance. Flights, B&B, location and everything I just told you were in the hands of the crewmates. This is because we were outdoors, and beyond this we had many shoots in a short time, since being an external night. We could take advantage of the days from the moment of the total darkness, which in April arrived around 8 PM until midnight. In short, there was a bit of anxiety in the air, even a possible COVID on one of the 2 actors would have blown everything up. And another problem was the fact that the Gwen costume had never been tried on by the actress before shooting.
Sono scenografici, diciamo dove spara ragnatele.
Dai! Ma le sparo, vero?
No, magari, però vabbè, poi in computer grafica lo farà.
Fallo qui. Sembra una mosca.
But we were really lucky. Everything went well. Of course, it was quite cold at that certain time and with all that humidity, but we held out. On the 3rd day, which was actually the first in chronological order, we shoot all the scenes in chroma key to recreate the sequence of Peter on the rooftop, because unfortunately finding such a location was too complicated and unsafe. This sequence was post-produced in After Effects, where I first performed a 3D matching of the scene, recreating the camera movement in a 3D space, to which then I was able to assign, thanks to the Element 3D plugin, different levels, including roof, aerator, beams and so on, and obviously breaking through the windscreen. It's crucial to try to match the lighting of the scene with the recreated one, so that the objects appear immersed and well composed with the live action video. This means that in production you need to have a very clear idea of the final look of the scene. By the way, guys, little parenthesis, the music you are hearing in the background and the one present in the little BTS after the short, I got it thanks to the Upbeat platform. The site is really very intuitive and colorful, and it's really easy to find your own music track or SFX thanks to the many categories that allow a very precise search. The catalog is always growing and the quality of the songs is really very good, so I can only recommend it. Find the link in the description. And since we made the parentheses, here is the news about the sequel. As some of you know, I have started pre-production of the sequel to this short, but from the point of view of Peter 2. So we will follow the return of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. The news is the title of the short that will be Spider-Man Lost in the Multiverse. And I heard that we are working on the crowdfunding campaign, which will arrive by the end of November with a nice surprise inside. So I suggest you to subscribe to the channel and follow me on Instagram. Returning to the deepfake, after the shooting I resumed the train for both Andrew and Emma for several days to optimize the new angle, and then I moved on the merging and compositing phase, even if before this last step I made an intermediate one, an enhancement of phase to increase the detail through a program called G-Pen. The result is often cartoonish, but with the right level of blending between the original and the upscaled, an excellent compromise is obtained to avoid the problem of the low resolution currently available with the deepfake technology. So basically I did all the compositing of the faces and having to distort and compress the underlying faces of the actors because they were wider than the deepfake face. Now let's analyze some specific cuts and find out how they were addressed. As for the audio aspect, another world opens up. First of all, as some of you may have noticed, from the PTS there was no sound engineer. This is because I knew that I would have to replace the voice with native speakers. So during the scenes the actors acted in English to have the perfect lip synchrony afterwards.
Vai ora.
Hey, is everything alright?
Hey, is everything alright?
The actors who married the project to give their voices to the official English version were 𝗙𝗚𝗟𝗠 and Marissa Madsen, while for the Italian version was Jacopo Calatroni, who also oversaw the adaptation of the Italian dialogue, and finally Elena Cavalli for Gwen. So everything else you hear except the voices is sound design. Any step, movement of fabric or other sound source, it's all sound design. There is nothing live. So guys, this was the long journey that led us to this result. Instead, in these days we are shooting some things that will be part of the crowdfunding campaign, as I told you, destined for the sequel of this project. And of course I can't wait to show you everything, so do not miss these updates, subscribe and activate the bell. You can also follow me on Instagram, and that's all for this video. I'm Alessandro Costanzo and this is the Movila channel. Move your dreams.